What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. We got a really fun video here today. We're doing cheap lures versus expensive lures. Should you spend the money? Or could you save the money and still catch a ton of fish? So you already saw the shopping video version of this. We actually have all the lures right here. We're gonna go through them. No, we didn't have every single lure that ever existed, and no, we didn't hit the $1,000 manifold glide. These are like normal price things, okay? Expensive for the average angler, cheap for the average angler.
These all came as requests from you guys, so thanks for all the responses. And if there's a bait we missed, leave it down below. We'll do a short on it. We'll check it out later. And there was one bait missing. That is the final copy. So you'll see it added in, and it'll be like weird because we're in a different room, but that's why.
And we paid for all of these so we can say what we want about them. We're going to show you the baits, what we're comparing, what the category is, and what the price point is, and what the difference in price is, and whether or not we feel at first glance you should spend up and do the expensive lure, or if you should just save your money and do a cheap one.
We'll get these on the water in the spring. We'll do a follow-up video later on. First impressions today, let's get into them.
All right, so first up, we're gonna start out with some bladed jigs. So in the expensive category, we have, of course, the Evergreen Jackhammer collaboration. Now, with the Jackhammer, like Z-Man has now put out the Evo brand. They do have the Evo Tungsten. The Evo Tungsten is the same price as the Jackhammer, and it's almost the same size, similar shape jig, had a little subtle differences to it. Definitely a nice, dense tungsten material. It's nice to have because you can get a ½ ounce and you can have a small jig head, which is cool. It does start up right away. These are fantastic chatterbaits. I have caught a billion fish on them, and I actually have caught a bunch of fish on this Evo Tungsten as well. They fish really well. They start up right away, and that's kind of the thing about bladed jigs is you want it to start up right away and be consistent with the vibrations, and these always are. So that's a win. They are $16 though.
That's the thing. At $15.99, you're at a premium. You get bit off by a pike up here in the north, it's going to happen once a week. There's no getting around it, and it sucks to lose 16 bucks. So what are your options on the cheap end, right? So you have two options that we've got for you today. You've got the Evo, which is a new launch for this season, and then you've got the original Z-Man. So all Z-Man, but they're hitting all the price points.
So here is your Evo. Blades are the same all the way across, and the nice thing about the Evo is you do get the snap clip, which I've always liked better than the wire tie, which is what you get on the original.
So here's the wire tie.
Like this.
Yeah, here's the wire tie on the original. So definitely an upgrade if you're going for that one. You also notice that they're
cheaper components, really, is what you're getting.
Even the paint job and everything else, and then look at that, you've got the skirt on this one. It's just the rubber band. This is going to come off. And I'll be honest with you guys, I actually use a lot of times when the skirt comes off, I still use them to put trailers on them because sometimes that is the juice. However, it's not preferred. You want to have your skirt if you bought it.
And the Evo is tied. You got a wire tie on the Evo, so that will hold up better. So for $10 for the Evo, or about $5.99, $5. Often on sale.
And the color selection is great on all of them. You're not gonna be at a loss with any of the colors on all these. The one thing I will say about the Evo that was kind of nice is the painted blades match the skirt, and for what Z-Man offers with their chatter spikes, all the paint jobs match. So you're getting a high value trailer. You're getting a big, potentially, if that's how you like to fish, an upgrade, or at least the option to have a fully matched between the jig head, the skirt, the blade, and your trailer all matching. So that's kind of cool.
So verdict on bladed jigs. We would say the Evo is definitely a big dub. It is a fantastic chatterbait. It's $10, so it falls right in the middle between your tungsten Evo, your jackhammer at the high end at $16, and your original chatterbait down at the $5.99, $6 end. So it's a great option. I would just go Evo, personally. That's what I recommend. You can save some money, about $6 per bladed jig.
That almost doubles you up. So you can really, I mean, it's nice if you're gonna go cheap, that's fine, you're gonna be happy, but we do think that the value play is with Evo.
But jackhammers are sweet.
They are sweet.
So the next up was heavily requested. We're talking swim baits now, specifically soft swim baits, and ones that have a treble harness.
I gotcha. Yeah, anything with a treble harness, something that holds the hook up here at the bottom so that it's not just dangling, waiting for the latest and greatest weed to come your way.
The latest and greatest.
Steal your stuff.
So we're looking at the Mega Bass Mag Draft. Here is the 6-inch variety. We both picked up one that we're going to be trying out.
And it's called the Mag Draft because, as you'll notice, when this grabs, wow, there's a magnet that's grabbing that hook and holding it up while you're swimming that bait.
So we picked up two colors of the Mag Draft in the 6-inch. I've actually had the 6-inch for a while in a perch color, which I, even for the Midwest folks, would not recommend. I would go with one of these colors over that 10 times out of 10, and every day
in between.
Especially on Sunday. First off, packaging on this is fantastic. It's reusable. You got this little tab here at the back that you can see. So save the packaging and you save the tail shape.
So what I do is I leave it in that package. When I go to fish, I keep it with all my other swim baits. When I go to fish, I pop it out of the package, fish it, dry it off, throw it back in there, and I can store it with a bunch of other baits. Even the Elastec stuff is not going to explode it. And it just makes sure the next time I go to grab it, it's the shape that it's supposed to be in.
So these are fantastic swim baits. They work really well. They catch a ton of fish. A lot of people like them. The biggest downside to these is that this magnet doesn't really do much at all. So when you cast this out there, most likely this is hanging, like Paul said, collecting the latest and greatest weeds in your favorite lake or pond. So what we typically do, one, there's a fix for this. You can add a staple to it if you want to. A clip would be nicer, so it would clip in and out. And then the other option is that you just belly hook it. So you just throw the hook into the belly like that. You get 2 prongs down here, but this way at least it stays up off of the grass. You can fish this right above cover more safely. These are great. They're also around $20, up to $30 if you get the big 10-inch.
That's 8-inch.
And then this is the, oh God, just for a size comparison. Here's your 6.
You would compare the sizes.
Yeah, here's your 8. Here, hold that one.
Oh, sure. Hooks are sharp. Here's your 6-inch right there.
And here's your 8.
And just to be clear, these are both mine.
So there's our Mega Bass. Again, keeping in mind, these are going to run, you can probably get this for 18, 19 bucks, depending on where you buy it from.
We have the average at $17.99 based on looking 2 weeks ago, so that's all pre-Black Friday.
But all the other bigger sizes are more expensive in the $25 to $30 range.
We're just comparing the sizes, the 6-inch sizes right now.
But what if you could save $10? You've got the Bass Pro XPS swim bait. This is one that was requested a lot.
Big time. You guys all wanted to see this. I probably got 15 plus requests for this one versus the Mag Draft specifically. One thing I want to call out, we got a lot of JDM baits on this list at the high end. So they are almost always going to be more expensive by the time they hit our shores. And that just is what it is. It's the nature of the beast. So, but they're really cool. They're innovative and they are high quality. So people want to know, should I pay for it or should I not? This is one of those ones. And Mega Bass is going to be the one that people compare to the most.
Okay, so here is the Bass Pro XPS versus our Mag Draft. You can see both of them side by side there. A little different shape, but still effectively the same kind of tail, actually, is just about exactly the same. So it's going to give you a similar action. Comes in a couple different sizes, weights, all that. Again, we're comparing the 6-inch size directly. Here's a big difference. This is on a split ring only. It's just wire harness, split ring. I wouldn't even call it a harness. It's just a split ring. This, harness with swivel.
Why does that matter on a treble hook bait? Jeff, you're calling that out like it's important.
It is important because it's going to be easier for a fish to shake this, which is going to have a rigid stopping point, right? So if this gets twisted up, you lock up that treble, a fish can shake that more easily than a swivel where it's just going to move with the fish.
Leverage, baby. You're giving them leverage on this one. You're taking it away with this one. On any treble hook bait, anytime you can decrease that leverage point, you're going to have more, you're going to land more fish, period.
The other thing that's very different here is obviously we've got the magnet if the magnet decides to work. The other thing you have is actually a slotted belly harness. So you can just poke that treble hook in there easily without tearing up the plastic and it'll be directly in the center. With the XPS, you have none of that. There's nothing there, right? So you just take this hook, you stab it in where you feel
that's
like
what you're there now.
and that's where it is forever now. It doesn't exactly line up either with the harness. So definitely not ideal, or you just let it hang, free hang like that. It is fairly short.
Closer.
So it is closer to the body than the Mag Draft will be because the Mag Draft has an actual harness. So that's something to keep in mind too. And the price point. For $8.99, you can huck out a big old swim bait.
You're going to get 2 of these for the price of that one. One thing I will say is this plastic is very, very soft, even compared to the Mag Draft. So I don't know. We'll see how it is. I feel like that one's going to get torn up a little bit earlier. You don't get the really reusable plastic. You just get a big plastic clamshell like that one right there. But it's a good option. Personally, for me, I would go line through every single time over that one. That's just my opinion. So
it's fine.
But now let's take a look at the final copy. In a different room. Go.
Put a hook closer to your
God, that is terrible. There's only
I held the hook. Don't worry.
No, but there's only one bait that smells that bad off the line.
The only bait that smells worse than this is the 6 cents. What is it called?
Hangover.
The hangover. It'll give you a hangover from.
It's like it was spray painted under your nose.
It's so gross.
This one is the same. It's not good. And look, we talk about like, oh, fish scent, fish scent. This is a fish repellent.
Yeah, so it's got a really plasticky smell. Hopefully that wears off after a while, but you've got like this tapered tail, which is going to mean this is going to get a lot of kicky, swingy action. So that's going to be good.
It kind of looks stiff.
It's not too stiff. It's pretty soft, pretty plush. It's going to move. You just belly hook it there. There is actually a magnet on this, I'm seeing. So there's a disc magnet there.
Weird spot.
They did put a magnet in. Does it hold? It does hold.
Oh,
it actually...
It's kind of it's tough.
Hang on. Try it.
Yeah, it feels tough.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty good. I don't like that there's the ridge almost ruins it, but yeah, it's there.
It sticks out.
Yeah.
That magnet really sticks out. It like puffs out the belly a little bit. Compared to this magnet. And this is the #1 complaint of the mag draft.
By far.
It's just such a light magnet. So I can say right now, if you're caring about the magnet, the final copy does actually have a little bit of an edge. So it slots in there just like this. Got 2 hooks coming out the side. So there you go. Also, speaking of weedless, I didn't know this until I found out from Instagram.
So top hook it?
You can just take this harness and you can put it up here. There's actually a spot for it. You can see right there. So you do have the option to top hook or underhook this if you want to. So there you go. That is the final copy. What I can say is a couple things. The colors for this bait are awful. I know everybody's going to be like, oh, but fish don't care. It'll catch.
Gold. Like,
I mean,
very gold. And
this, in our opinion, is like the go-to. Like, just get the shad color. You'll be okay, probably. I think it's good. We're gonna have to see how it fishes.
The body shape is weird for me.
The body shape's like a little funky.
Bass Pro.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of.
It does. We did show off a Bass Pro swim bait on this video too. So you already saw that. You guys let us know what you think.
I think the biggest difference between that and the Bass Pro is basically just instead of like a very flat top, it has like a little bit of a ridge. Otherwise, it has Bass Pro written all over it.
It's got a mohawk. Not a buzz cut.
So $10 roughly for the Strike King, and then you get to $18, so almost a 2-for-1. So if it fishes okay, hey, heck, might be totally worth it to have 2 of them, because what, with a big bait like that, Jeff can attest, you can snap off in 1 cast, maybe even your first one with a big bait like that. It happens. It happened. Still lamenting.
Wow, with $11, you too can lose that $11 immediately. Next up is jerk baits. This was definitely tied for the most requested baits to compare.
And there's a reason for that. It's because one of the most popular baits out there right now, the most popular jerk baits, is also extremely expensive. And it's one that gets recommended a lot of times. It's one that I have, and I'm happy to recommend to people, even at a $25 average price point. It's a wonderful bait. It comes in phenomenal colors. Again, another Mega Bass home run. But $25 to lose a bait where you're probably using a leader, less than braid, so a high chance of losing this one. That doesn't feel great chucking it out there. I mean, that's double the price of some mag draft options at like $18, almost double. So there are some inexpensive versions we're going to show you here in a second.
So here is the Mega Bass Vision 110. It is a absolutely gorgeous jerkbait. It also has equally gorgeous action in the water, and it sure do be catching fish.
One thing I want to point out is look at these hooks. You are getting a hook that is designed to work with this style of bait. Thin wire, right? So it's not messing with the action. It's going to get easy penetration on a minor hook set. And if you look at the shape, this is not your standard hook shape. This is more that V-shape hook, kind of like the Eagle Claws, where you give it a nice fine point for a fish's mouth to get really stuck into. That's the type of thing that you can expect from a Mega Bass $25 jerkbait.
It's also pretty dang loud and easy to cast. So it does have the balancing chamber in there, which also helps you propel your cast and really zing this sucker out 75 miles if you want to.
I almost got a nose piercing
right there. You did. It would have been really cool for everyone involved. Colors we just showed you were the matte white and then also the Wakasagi. So this one is definitely for Paul. We also got Paul and I the matte finish. Oh my gosh, matte is so much good, so much great. All right, what are we comparing that up against? We've got 3 cheaper jerkbaits. Jerkbaits in general, not that cheap if you get ones that function, right? So we've got the cheapest one here, I'll show you first, and then we've got 2 right up the middle. So keeping in mind, the Mega Bass Vision 110 is $25.
Well, I'll go through them right now, so we'll hit it. The Provoke, which we're going to show you in a second, $13.99. That's an $11 differential. And then you've got the Rapala Husky Jerk. That is coming in at $8.99, so a $16 differential. That is one of the biggest variances that we see so far.
Crazy different
And then you
price.
get the KVD, try and get the glare away from you, the KVD Elite. This is the 200 size, $14.99. That's a $10 difference. You're almost at a point, that's in my leg. You're almost at a point where you could get a 2-for-1 on some of these. So that's a huge deal.
It fell onto your pants.
It was in my leg.
Perfection.
Sharp hooks, baby.
All right, so first up, let's go to the very low end. We've got the Rapala Husky Jerk. And this is just, I don't know, your grandpa and your great-grandpa caught fish on this thing, right? Like
we only bought one because Jeff didn't have one, but I already actually have one laying around.
I had a bunch, I just want the perch.
Yeah.
The perch is the juice.
My favorite color.
So Rapala perch for my Midwest fisher peoples, like it's fantastic. At a price of $9, like you just can't go wrong. The action is great. It's been the same design for 48 years. And it's definitely going to work.
Next up, we've got the Provoke in a color called Matte Ice Minnow. This color is gorgeous. And as with all 6 cents bait, it is beautiful. You do have a really, in my opinion, one of my favorite hook shapes. I like the KVD triple grips. Those are the ones that I buy. Those are a must-add. But they're a really, this wide gap treble hook is one of my favorites. You got a nice split ring there in the front. It is the oval split ring, which I also really like.
Yes.
The reason I like the oval split ring, I know this is like, oh, sorry. I know.
Stop moving the camera.
This is very nitpicky, but you'll notice you don't really have as much of an opportunity for your line to get into the split ring and actually come off. That does happen a lot of times, especially if you're working a fish on lighter line. One also thing you'll notice is this is almost the exact same body shape as the Vision 110. I mean, I'm not saying it's a copy, but this is a copy. It's very similar. So
it's hard not to. Let's be real. Jerkbaits are jerkbaits, but at least it's 106, not a 110. That would have been real bad.
Yep, it's a little bit shorter, which we like. Now it comes in at a price point of $13.99, that's an $11 departure. That's huge. So you're not quite doubling up, but this is like a 2-for-1. So you gotta love it. This one we have used a ton. It does fish really well. It is not the absolute best. I still think that the Vision 110 is kind of the pinnacle, but this is a very, very serviceable jerkbait. We do like it.
It do be good.
Next up, we've got one of my favorite jerkbaits. This is the KVD Elite. This is the 200 size. I should really like a 2 treble bait. It's a lot easier to get the fish off of, and I do find that the front treble hook doesn't get hit nearly as much as the middle or the back. So for me, I love the 2 treble hook size. Again, the finish on these Elites is really, really nice. And at $14.99, that's still a $10 difference from what I think is probably the pinnacle. Again, the Megabass Vision 110. So a huge departure. You still get the oval tie in there right at the front. You get a lot of great patterns. And this one is there. Now you can really see the color differential on this one. Really nice. And they get my favorite, at least for replacements, hook, which is the KVD Must-Add Triple Grip. This one's the Elite. I absolutely love these. These are bangers, so I love that one.
So there you have it. All of those have quite a difference in price compared to the Megabass Vision 110. Our opinion, it's a jerkbait, bro. Like, it's only going to be horrible if you get, like, the Timu one, because we had a horrible experience with that one. But, like, all of these are going to fish really well. So if you want to save yourself a couple bucks, I would say KVD Elite. Like,
that's the one. I think that's the one where you're getting the biggest bang for your buck. So the value is going to be the KVD Elite 200. The KVD regulars are pretty good too, not the Elite, so they do have a step down. But I really do like this one. I think it's worth spending up for, especially if you're in the Midwest and you fish a lot of cold water. Now I will say, if you like buying expensive stuff, I do think the Vision 110 is a really nice bonus. This is my opinion. It does fish better, but marginally. Average person, go for the KVD. If you like getting spendy and you don't mind doing it and it's just something fun and you're happy to spend the money, go with the Vision 110.
Or if you need stocking stuffers, tell everybody that you want a Megabass Vision 110.
Facts. Make your mom buy it.
Keeping up with some jerk baits, we're going to the downsize. You can run these on a spinning rig or you can run them on BFS if you like to have oodles of fun like I do. So we're looking at the expensive end here, the Megabass X80 Junior. This thing is a killer little jerkbait. It is so much fun. It even says right on here, BFS, but it's Bait Finesse series because they have a series of these baits.
They all run anywhere between $14.99 and like $18, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's changed over time since they were released, but I bought every single one of these baits in the series right when they came out, and this was one of my favorites of the bunch. Jeff and I have had a couple of days where when nothing else will get bit, this will get bit. And we've not, by nothing, I mean nothing else is getting bit.
Literally nothing. So we got this one in the French Pearl color. Gives you that nice like opaque white with a little bit of orange there on the belly. These things are killer. I'm excited for it. It was $17.99 though.
That does hurt. Now what we're
Ouch.
bringing you right here is a Euro Tackle Z Spender. This is a very quality bait. It's going to be
Very quality, very high quality.
This is a super high quality bait. It feels a little bit lighter than the Megabass. I'll tell you that right off the bat.
Sure is.
But the finish is just as good. The hooks are quality, and it fishes very, very well. It's a slightly smaller than the X80 Junior as well. So we'll hold them up side by side.
Z Spinner comes in a bunch of really nice colors. Here's like a nice gold color as well.
But you can
there's the side by side.
So side by side, you can see they're a slightly different profile, but they do execute in a very similar way, and they fish waters very similarly. So at what? That's a $10 disparity in price.
Yeah.
I honestly think that you could go either route. This is the same thing as Division 110. If you don't mind spending up and you don't mind risking that expensive bait, go up. You're going to be happy. If you want to get a double up and just go ahead and get a whole handful with different patterns, different colors, and just feel like you're not wasting your money or risking your money, definitely go with this bait. You're going to be really happy with the Euro Tackle Z Spender.
You won't be mad with it. It's great. Keep in mind, like the X80, I can get down a little bit deeper with. That is a big difference. That said, they're essentially just two downsized jerkbaits, right? Like there's a lot of other options out there. These are the ones that we chose to compare. You let us know what you think or what you think we missed in the comments below, because I know we did.
Yeah.
You want to know why we missed some of these? We ain't got $1 million. All right, so next up was the tough one. We wanted to hit something in the spinnerbait category. There's a lot of spinnerbaits out there. You get the cheap ones, you basically are in trouble because the hardware is going to fall apart eventually on you, or the blades are going to rust immediately upon becoming moisturized.
Or the skirt's going to go on them too, and we'll show you that in
That happens a lot. So we wanted to grab one of the more expensive ones. We looked at a bunch in the $20 range. We ended up landing on this one. So we got from Raid Japan, $16.99. This is the Level Spin. It is a really cool looking spinnerbait, and I'm going to find out how to open it. There we go. So what do you get when you spend an exorbitant amount of money on a spinnerbait? Because $17 in spinnerbait is just not in my wheelhouse. But you do get like a really nice light wire that hopefully is pretty dang durable, but has like a unique shape to it. This is really what drew this one to me. I was like, dude, we gotta get this one. So really cool looking spinnerbait. You've got the welded beads. So those are welded in place rather than having simple plastic spacers, for example. It should have a really smooth action.
Well, that matters.
Blades should be high quality.
Yeah, and this is going to hold the blades always in the same place every single time. So even when you're winding back, the blades are staying where they are. When you cast it, the blades stay where they're supposed to be. When you're running it, they stay exactly where they're supposed to stay.
I like it. $17. Ouch. I don't know if I'm going to recommend that one, but go ahead and show them what we're comparing it to. We got the Booyah Covert
at $10.50. That's a $6.50 difference. Not quite half the price, but significantly less money. You get the Hildebrand blades, which I don't know if that's ever mattered to me, but like if I'm calling out somebody who makes a quality blade, I'm probably not mad about it.
They are nice. They have a really nice sound when they hit each other. And they tend to hold up pretty well too.
Oh yeah, I've never had an issue with the blades being a problem. So you're getting kind of your standard wire here. You are getting a smaller skirt, so a little bit less material. See how thin that is? Part of that is the design of the bait as well. It's not always that you need the super nice like silicone skirt. Sometimes you just get the old standby. You are going to get a less quality band here holding this in. It's not hand tied. It's not like a copper bound or anything like that, like a wire tied. You're going to lose this one eventually. You also are getting to see how these beads are sliding. They're not welded on there. So sometimes they get tied up. Sometimes they get tied up on the string, and you got to like reset it. All in all, I have fished these a whole bunch, and I've never had a problem catching fish with them. So at $10.50 versus like $17, I'm feeling pretty dang good about this.
Go cheaper. Yeah, the spinnerbait, I think if you're in the $8 to $12 range, you're going to be really happy with them. So here's a category of plastics, and we'll do plastics for the next couple, really, but we want to talk about gravity baits, which kind of got hot on the market like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I think it was 2 iCasts ago that everybody copied everybody, but we wound up with the Yamamoto's Yamatanuki, which is our favorite gravity bait. If you're not familiar with what a gravity bait is, it is essentially a short, chubby, salty worm, right? It's a heavy plastic. What, you don't like short, chubby, salty worms?
I loved it, but I was just going to say it's heavy.
These are heavy. They do pack a punch. So it's got a bit of heft to it where we can rig this weightless. That's the ideal way to fish it. And you can bomb cast this wherever you want. You can fish it in cover. You can fish it deep. You can fish it shallow. And they have a really nice kind of shimmy action and a slow fall, which tends to draw those fish in. Big problem with the Yamatanukis. One, you get the Yamamoto price point. That is obviously a thing that you're going to have to deal with. Not the end of the world, not the most expensive plastic that exists.
Nope.
JDM plastics are way more expensive. $7.99 to an 8-pack, you're paying $1 a bait. And they are not durable. The nice thing is you can re-rig and re-rig and re-rig, but they will fall apart.
So what we wanted to compare this to, there are almost all of the other baits that are on the market are actually pretty similar price. The gravity baits, the
we already
ones.
did a video on that. If you guys want to see it, go search our channel, or we'll link it in the description below. But we did a whole gravity comparison video already.
But
this wasn't there.
There's a new bait that's kind of very similar, can do a lot of the same things. That's the Big Bite Baits BSE. So one of the things Jeff talked about, okay. One of the things Jeff and I have talked about with the BSE is that Big Bite Baits always is providing a value, and the Yamatanuki is a very good skipping bait. So we're using this in a lot of the same scenarios.
Look at that. So this is the white. We got white and Tilapia Magic. We already had a couple other colors. This like jumped the ranks this year for us. This became one of our, if not our favorite plastic to use this year. We both excelled skipping these. We were just blast them under docks and pontoons like nobody's business.
I was a wizard.
And we caught a ton of fish.
These are $5.99 for an 8-pack, so a $2 difference, and these are significantly more durable than the Yamatanuki. So we do feel like you are actually getting way more value. I'll tell you right now, if you need a gravity bait specifically, yeah, go with the Yamatanuki. That's the one we would definitely say. But if you need a bait that does a lot of the same things, skips really well, works really well in shallow water, and does like 80% of what a gravity bait can do, we're going to the BSE every single time.
Next up, we're going to the top of the water column. We're going Topwater, and specifically a very famous bait, the River to Sea Whopper Plopper, is going to be on our expensive end. This is going to be one that we look at. $12.99. We're looking at the 90 size. There are many other sizes. We're just going right up the middle. So the 90 at $12.99 comes in many different colors. The fit and finish from River to Sea is pretty great. The hardware is high quality, top notch. These hold up for a long, long time.
That's a 5-year-old bait.
This is 5 years old, and look at it.
However, this is $5.28 listed on the site. So if you're going to get a bunch of groceries and you're going to do that order, you can slap that in there.
Do it.
You get this as the added on bonus. So that's a $7.71 disparity from the $12.99 for the Whopper Plopper.
That's insane.
These are actually quite similar. Let's get them side by side here real quick.
For a 2-to-1 price difference, basically, what did we get?
You're getting actually two pretty similar baits if you want to take a look at them here. So I think the body shapes are slightly different. So with the Whopper Plopper, you're not getting a split ring. I've never used one. I've never used a loop knot or anything of the sort. Yeah. With this one from Ozark Trail, you are. I do think they feel pretty similar. The hooks are way, and I mean way nicer on the River to Sea, which is something that on other videos and reviews we've done on Ozark we've seen as well. So in general, hardware is not as good with the Ozark. The Whopper Plopper is good. Now this is one where until I fish this one, I'm not going to be able to give you a full review. So as of this point, I would definitely go with the Ozark because you can pretty much get 2 for 1. And then with but we still got to fish them.
And we're going off of recommendations from our viewers since we haven't fished the Ozark. They said it's great. We trust them. If you want to save some money, do it. Something we were going to compare that we'll have to compare on a different type of comparison video, I just said compare a bunch of times, compare. Would be kind of the copy bait scenario. But we've got the Berkeley Chopo. We were going to pick it up for this video, specifically thinking it was cheaper. Turns out it's not. Unless you buy the 3-pack. They do have a 3-pack for 30 bucks. $10 per, you can get 3 of these buddies, and I'd recommend that if you want to grab them.
They're almost the same bait. They have a little bit of different sound, but they're pretty close. Now there is one that's that is a little bit cheaper, and that is a new bait called the Spinnin' Image. So the Spinnin' Image is from Head and Lures, who is kind of, in my opinion, the king of Topwater. They always do a great job with these kind of baits, and this one feels really high quality. The hooks look good. The body shape is a little bit different. Look at the color that you're getting in there. It's really nice on that bone color. The fit and finish is wonderful. You get your oval split ring in there, so that's a dub. And then there's a hole here at the back. So you can see in the prop there's a hole.
Versus no hole that you get with your Whopper Plopper or Chopo.
And let me show you the body difference too. So the big difference is the body. So if I zoom in really close, you can see this is a little fat, this is a little fatter, this is a little taller, skinnier. So just a little bit different, kind of like, you know, maybe the chick magnet versus like a regular crankbait.
So I have had a chance to fish this one just once, and I'll say the action's pretty good. It seems even a little more subtle than the Whopper Plopper, and it leaves a bubble trail because of that hole in the tail. So it gives you a slightly different action. So it's almost like if the situation calls for Topwater and the Whopper Plopper could work but isn't, maybe you throw that one. Dude, I don't know. It's all preference at that point. The point is it's cheaper. If you want to save money and get something similar that's high quality from Head In, I think it's a good option.
It's not totally free. It's like 10 or 11 bucks versus $13. So, but it is cheaper and it gives you a different option.
All right, so this next one's pretty interesting. We're going with wedge tails. Now, when you think wedge tail swim baits, you think Huddleston. There are many different versions of it. This is just the one we had, and we weren't going to grab a whole bunch of other $30 swim baits because we're not in that situation right now. Plus, I'll be honest, we never catch on these ever in Michigan. That's because we're dumb and bad at swim baits. Help. Send help in the comments below.
Well, keep the dream alive. We're still going to swim, but this is a $29 swim bait. Now, we'll tell you right now, the plastic on this is outstanding. The design is outstanding. It is the OG sort of wedge tails. It's sort of the gold standard. So this is a wonderful swim bait. And look at, once you get the hook exposed there.
That's weedless. This thing is sick.
It's an all-in package, so very nice bait. I'll show you a couple different options that are very comparable. One of them is going to be the Mulletron from Z-Man. So it's a top hook. This isn't weedless, but it's the same thing. It's a wedge tail, and I'll show it to you.
There's also a line through, just to keep in mind.
It's got a line through. There's a big harness there in the front. So this is the packaging. I just want to call it. You do get to keep this. So there's little tabs to keep it sealed, separate from all your other baits, so you don't get the Elastec effect where they all melt together. We don't like that.
The Elastec effect.
So there's your Mulletron right there. It's got a really, really cool looking body. It does get a little stretchy, which means this is going to last for quite some time. So these are $12.99 for the 6-inch, but again, with the Elastec effect, you are getting yourself a bait that's going to last at least twice as long, and that is a huge win.
Another great option for wedge tails, if you want to save a couple of bucks, would be the Savage Gear Route. This is the pulse tail. Comes in a bunch of different sizes. We didn't get the 6-inch to compare to the Huddleston directly because we don't have as much faith in the 6-inch variety.
The size. So
we got the Midwest size, all right?
Midwest, for our waters, it made sense to go a little bit smaller, and we were really excited to try this size. So this is what you get.
So similar to Z-Man, you get the nice little tabby packaging. Unsimilar to Z-Man, you get a large amount of it. So it's quite a vast surface area.
It's really designed to sell well on shelf.
It's got a rattle to it. This is not a stretchy material. Savage Gear, they've done the tough toad, so they have access to TPE. They just didn't use that type of material for this. That's fine. This is like a bright white and chartreuse with a little bit of flash on it, which really just looks like somebody went, achoo, glitter. And that's what you got. But it's fine. So fit and finish, not amazing. The eyes look pretty good. Oh, the eyes are not, they're not glued on. So that's a good sign. These eyes should hold up pretty well, unlike what you'll see on another swim bait in a little bit.
One last thing I want to call out.
And it rattles.
One last thing to call out, they do have a rattle, which is nice, and they have a hook harness down here for you to put a treble hook underneath if you want, which I think is a really nice touch.
The 6-inch version of this pulse tail, if you get the pre-rigged, is $11 just about. So, and it, again, goes on sale a lot, but 11 bucks we'll call it for retail. So you are saving quite a bit of money over the Huddleston.
$18 differential from the Huddleston. So $17 differential from the $13.99 Mulletron from Z-Man, plus the fact that it's Elastec means it's going to last longer, which makes your dollar last longer. So that $13 price point looks really good now.
If you're a swim bait connoisseur, we already know you're saying Huddleston, obviously.
And you would be right.
You are correct. If you are not a swim bait connoisseur and you don't really care and you just want to try swim baits for cheap, you go the cheap route. You just get the Z-Man, right?
100%. Unless you want the micro, which I think is really cool, then you go the Savage Gear because that's the only option available to you. So this one I do think, again, like Jeff said, you like it, go get it. If you want to try it, go Z-Man.
Yep. All right, so let's go back to Topwater for a quick second. We actually have some poppers to take a look at. Now, I don't know about you guys, but there's something about throwing a popper that just beats the heck out of everything else. They're so much fun to fish with. You can fish them on any of your gear. They're just great. So we've got here the Rio Rico. Now, pause for a second. I was told I should have got the Rico, not the Rio Rico. My bad. There's somebody in the comments that keeps coming at me about this. I'll get a Rico later. These are $22 for the Rico, $23 for the Rio Rico, which is the upsized version. I love this colorway, by the way. This is their Volt, I think, color, but it's black with chartreuse on the feather. Pretty insane. This is an extremely high quality topwater. It is very expensive, but the hardware is really good. And it has, in my opinion, really good action. I've heard the Rico has even better action than the Rio Rico, so something to think about. But $23 for a super nice fancy topwater.
Or you could go get another super nice fancy topwater. $20 for this Pop Max right here. And then you can get the Pop X for $17.99. Look at this though. So if you look really closely,
Gorgeous.
look at the gills. You actually can see through
Yep.
into the gill plate, and if you look really closely, there are slots on either side of the popper.
It bloops, it chugs, it bubbles. Megabass nailed it with that.
Yeah, and the paint jobs are exquisite, and so is the fit and finish, so is all the terminal on it. However, 18 bucks is really expensive. When you see the drop down to this next bait, you're gonna get your mind blown.
What if you could save $10 more? So we're just crashing down financially here. We've got the Rebel Pop R. This is a freaking classic. If you haven't fished a Rebel Pop R, you really haven't fished a popper. I'm just kidding. That's mean. If you haven't fished a Rebel Pop R, you're missing out. These things are great, and they are only $7.99. I have caught so many fish on this, Paul. I know you have too, especially in the old bass, not this color. This color is great. This is like a frog color with a crack pattern on top. It's pretty sick. But the old bass is like our go-to color in any size.
Silver green, kind of looks like froggy. It's really nice. Now,
comes in like 4 sizes too.
It does, but most of them are a little bit smaller. So here's the thing I will say about the Pop R. It is a lot lighter. It casts
Very
well,
light.
but it's very light. It does have this like tinny, ultra light feel to it. The hooks that come with it are good, but not phenomenal. It does come tied with a little bit of fur material on the back, not actual fur, but a little flash material on the back. They fish really well, but the quality is not super high. So look, if that's something that matters to you, go for it. At $8, it's all you could almost get 3 of those poppers to 1 of the Rico poppers. Then
certainly something to keep in mind.
Something to think about. Now, look, in my opinion, I'm going to go Pop R all day. So this is a little bit opinion-based because they all fish really well. But to me, if the popper's fishing pretty good even, and I can get a 3 to 1, I have no problem recommending it to people. And if I will say this, if you want to be downsized, I'm going to recommend the Pop R. If you want something bigger, I'm probably going to recommend something a little higher end, but I would still warn you against the Pop Max. It just takes one good fish to steal $20-some from you. Ouch.
Yeah, I have fished all the expensive ones. I think you fished the Pop X as well. I'm going Pop R. I've caught so many fish on it. I got undue confidence on it, honestly. Like I could fish it anywhere and feel like I'm going to catch something. So
Facts.
I'm probably going with that too. All right, next up, we're talking flukes. We've got the Depths Sakamata. This will also end up on our copy comparison day. That is going up against the Zoom Winged Fluke, the copier. And these are different prices by only a couple bucks. So with the Depths Sakamata, you're spending $10.99. With the Zoom Winged Fluke, spending $8.99.
Here is the Sakamata. It's going to be tough because it is in white, but I'm going to get as absolutely close as I possibly can for you. And what you're going to see here is there it goes, right at the front. You can see that wing right there at the front. And then obviously the body shape, right? More of an oval body shape, trims down real fast, and you get the open hook area in the front, and then all these little different holes to help you really dial in your rigging when you're setting these up. And it matters a lot. Look how soft this is. This is wicked plush.
Yeah. Let me see that.
It's crazy plush.
I now have both in my hands, and there is a massive difference in the material for sure. So let me show you the side by side, and we'll go section by section.
They use the
Look at
same mold.
Yep, so here's the Zoom up top. We got the Depths Sakamata down below. You've got your wings. So there we go. That's the bottom view. Here's the side view. And here's the top view. And you can see they are virtually the same bait. However, the Depths definitely nailed the execution better. It's a little more rounded. They've actually also got these, you can see those hook slots at the top.
Yeah, I called
so easy rigging, and then Zoom does not. But I mean, it's like how you normally rig your Zoom. It's going to be fine. The Zoom definitely has the flatter sides too, which is, I mean, it lends itself to sonar, it lends itself to skipping.
The style of fishing too, because this is supposed to be a little bit of that sort of hover rig mentality, get a totally different action out of that fluke and kind of keep it in the strike zone for a longer period of time. So I think with rigging being more important, that's really going to help you out. And with the price disparity not really being there, this is one of the very few times where I'm going to go against probably going with the fluke, and I'm probably going to go with the Sakamata.
Going Sakamata on this one. Okay, next up we are going with the original again, and this will also end up on the copy baits video, but the Yamamoto Senko. Pow!
Which everybody knows this bait. And look, this was another one that was requested, called out, challenged, and commented on by every single person. But this is one of the oldest tricks in the book. Wacky rig yourself a Senko, have yourself a good time. Now, what could possibly differentiate from one of the oldest style shapes of baits that there is in fishing? And
salt.
It's going to be the texture, and then the salt content. Like how did they get the density of plastic dialed for it to shimmy and fall in a very specific way, which is where people have said that's the difference and why they pay the upgraded price. So $6.99 per bag for the Yamamoto Senko. $6.99 for a 10-pack on the Yamamoto Senko.
We're going to be putting that up against two different cheaper versions of the Senko, which you can't call a Senko. They're a stickbait worm now, but we've got the Yum Dinger, or the Yummy Dingy, as we've come to know and love it by, right, Paul?
Yep.
End of the day, I mean, it is a stickbait. It has a lot of action. It will hold up decently well, just about as well as the Yamamoto. The fall rate is a little bit different. The salt consistency is a little bit different. But that said, I was Texas rigging these all year round, and I've been catching a ton of fish on them. So will it catch fish? Yes, absolutely. Do some people have more faith in the Yamamoto Senko over the Yum Dinger? Sure, totally. And I get it to an extent for sure. So they do have 30 packs, 100 packs, all that stuff. But the point is to directly compare it to the Yamamoto. It's $3.99 for a 10-pack. So
$3 differential. That's almost double for not a bad action, but a different action allegedly from the Yum. Now, this is something we want to test out later this year. We want to kind of dig into. So we're going to take a look at it, but let's assume the actions are different. That doesn't mean better or worse, just different.
We're also going to be putting this in the water. So we've got the Cream. Say it.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing series. Now, one caveat with this one, you can only get this on the Cream website. You can't get this on Tackle Warehouse. You're not going to get it there. It is $2.16 for a 6-pack. So compared to the 10-pack, it's pretty dang close to the Yum Dinger price. I'm going Yum Dinger all day, twice on Sunday for this one. But it is a stickbait worm. They do have some pretty dang good colors.
Limited though. With the Yum, you can pretty much get any color under the sun. With the Cream, you got about like 10
six or seven colors options, or something like that.
But I do love the packaging. I love the call out. Why pay more for the same thing? I love that. And these are the original. So the original worm is Cream. So you're talking about the OG. Scent wise,
original worm, not the original stick worm.
Yeah. But
of this variety, the Senko variety.
This one doesn't have the scent to it, so you're not getting the garlic, you're not getting the anise or whatever, and you don't have the worm oil in there, so you're just getting, you're getting injected plastic as your scent.
When it comes to the worms, dude, if you're just Texas rigging, wacky rigging, skipping docks, like, I'm going cheap. I'm going Yummy Dingy all day long. The Yamamoto is great, and I know the diehard Yamamotos, and definitely probably like tournament anglers, they're going to say, no. Yamamoto Senko or bust when money is on the line, when a catch is on the line. And I hear you if you've got that kind of confidence, but Yummy Dingy.
Yeah.
All right, so next up, let's go downsize. Let's do some crappie swim baits, but really some ultralight BFS swim baits. These are both great options. One of them got called out a ton. It's another Ozark. Wow, you can't see anything. Help.
This one was asked, it's the glare. This one was asked for a ton. You guys wanted to see these. I was surprised at how many people even knew about these because they're actually really hard to get on the website. So if you go to the Walmart website, you're going to run into the same problems that Jeff and I did. Golly, with the Topwater bait, you're going to run into the same problems we had. So let's get as close as we possibly can in here to these little tiny swimmer guys.
It's a little baby paddle tail.
All right, so let's start over. Here's that little paddle tail for you, up close and personal. It's got ridges along the body. It's nice and slim and trim, and it's going to not hold up forever because it's not Elastec, so it's just a little stretchy-ish plastic. But it's going to catch some fish because it's a little tiny paddle tail.
Yep.
They're listed as at $1.52 for a 6-pack on the site, so $3.50 differential from what we're going to show you here in a second at $4.99, which is the Euro Tackle B-Vibe. This is one of my favorite paddle tails.
We use these a bunch. They are pretty dang solid.
Come in this really cool clamshell pack, which is nice and small. And that is them right there. So a little bit smaller. You get way better color options, more complex, better executed overall. These things just absolutely slap. But they are a thinner body, so they're a little tougher to rig. So you're going to need some different terminal for these guys specifically, but a great ultralight bait nonetheless. Now this is the one that we're going to recommend every single time in this scenario, and this is the Mule Fishing Donkey Tail or the Donkey Tail Junior. This is like $4.99 for a freaking 12-pack, and that 12-pack, this is probably a 3-year-old pack. I'll tell you how they last so freaking long. It's because they're made of an Elastec stretchy material. Now these actually get waterlogged even less than Z-Man because there's no salt in them whatsoever. So this is one of our favorite baits of all time, certainly one of mine when it comes to ultralight. And if I was going to recommend anyone to get started fishing, trying ultralight, or using any kind of paddle tail whatsoever, it's going to be the Mule Fishing Co. bait. Doesn't matter whether it's the craw or anything else, but specifically the Donkey Tail and Donkey Tail Junior are the OGs and they're the best of the best. You can't beat them. But we're going to go into a comparison of two different glide baits. Now, this one is the Shine Glide, which is, I mean, has become for us one of the best values that you can get on a glide bait of this level of quality. So this one coming from Savage Gear.
These are $25, and they come with like like good basic components. What is really cool about these, though, right off the bat, is you can see the design. Like Savage Gear, they don't mess around. When it comes to design, they're going to make their baits look really good. They're going to be really natural. They're going to fish. It does have a pretty decent hinge to it. At this price point with glide baits, what you can expect is you're not going to get the wonderful swiveling hanging hooks there. So that is nice because fish do find a way to shake lures.
This is going up against the KGB. This is the Chad Shad?
The Chad Shad. Spro KGB Chad Shad. It's a long name. If you just look up Chad Shad, or if you look up KGB Swimbait, you're going to find $160 or more.
Yes.
This is the affordable version.
This is $60, so
affordable version.
Far less affordable than the $25 Shine Glide, but does have some premium features. For the paint jobs are insane. The action, you can tell just out of the box, the action is going to be outstanding. Not that you can't with a Shine Glide.
Yep. Put them next to each other.
And not that every bait like has to move to be that good. But this joint, when you see like premium, well-made, handmade, custom-made glide baits, this is the type of joint that you want to see. So
in the water, you can definitely tell too.
It's got the upgraded tail here. So you got, this is my favorite tail for a glide bait. Not that there's anything wrong. It's all about design, but this is one of my favorites. So you get the brush out there, and then you get these swivels. So $60 for this bait right here. So almost, it's for sure 2 for 1, even with tax and shipping. So that's going to be, it's tough to beat because we do know the Shine Glide. We've got some experience with it. We've got a lot of hours under the belt, and it fishes really well. This bait too, though, the second it hit the water, it was like, dang, that thing absolutely fishes.
You can tell the difference between glide baits, between the $20, the $60, the $150, and we've had a chance to fish $200 to $300 glide baits that we borrowed and we're very scared to fish with at all. But we did catch fish on it. I actually caught a pike on one of them, which was terrifying. And you can tell, like, there is a big jump in performance of the lure based on what goes into building it, right? So in this case, if you had the money, I would say this is going to be a worthwhile glide. You're going to be really happy with it. That said,
well, you're comparing it against the $200-some bait, and you're feeling really good at $60 because you're getting some premium components.
This is your like pitch it into the junk glide bait.
Well, and then you're used to fishing a couple $100, right? So that and that for sure that has its own set of value, but that's still $60. And to the average fisherman, I'm certainly not feeling great about it. But you can go for $25. You can get yourself into a Shine Glide and get a very similar experience. You're still feeling like you get a very fishable bait, and if you lost, you're like, not the end of the world. I'm not thrilled.
It hurts a lot still.
Not the end of the world. So that was one of the tougher ones to do a rating on because gosh darn it, they're both good and they both feel like a value, which is nuts to say.
If you know you're gonna fish it, I say do it. And if you're like, I'm just getting into glide baits, Shine Glide.
Load up on the shines. Get 3 of them. Heck
it. Last lure. My gosh, has this been a marathon, y'all. Thanks for hanging with us. And again, drop us some comments below. Let us know anything that we missed or you'd like to see in an additional video. There's so many more baits that we could compare, contrast, do reviews on, blah, blah, blah. So the last lure that we're going to be looking at is the Dark Sleeper. The Megabass Dark Sleeper, it's got a reputation, a very good one. And a lot of people love this. A lot of people also find that it's pretty destructible and that it falls apart, and that's frustrating when you spend $9 on them.
And I think the problem is when it breaks, it's going to break right here at the back of the tail. And once this is gone, this bait doesn't have any action whatsoever, no redeeming qualities. It's a chunk of floating plastic, and that's it.
The other option, or the other thing that's going to happen is these eyes will fall off immediately, sometimes just in your tackle box, like mine have. The fin up top, your little like hook protector or whatever, that'll get shredded. This one is already starting to get shredded, but ones that I've used a lot more, they get blown apart. And then the face, because this is plastisol, it's not an elastomer or a TPE plastic, the face will come apart, the jig head will be exposed if you bounce it off of any cover. So keep that in mind. That is $9.
Now here's a direct comparison. This is a structure gill from Savage Gear, so not an elastomer, super stretchy plastic. If the tail gets ripped off, this thing is an RIP. These are $5 each, so you're getting a $4 differential. That's a massive difference, almost 2 to 1. So for every one of these, everyone that gets ripped off, now you got a backup in your pocket for the same price.
So then we go to the next option, which is the Z-Man Gobius. And yes, Another copy bait. All
and
right.
and another Z-Man. Like I just realized I'm wearing a Z-Man hat. And this is our 9th Z-Man bait. But I'll tell you right now,
Listen.
I am a Z-Man fanboy a little bit. I like them. I like the value proposition because they're never, in my opinion, overpriced. And with the Elastec material, you're getting a huge value. Same thing with like mule fishing. Like, it's hard to get away from for me. So it is what it is.
Sorry, not sorry. Z-Man Gobius comes in this container because, again, it's Z-Man Elastec. You can't let it touch anything or even be near stuff.
Oh, they're
So
plastics.
you got to protect it.
Yeah, because it's going to melt when it comes to contact with other plastics. So they're going to merge together, fuse, and become one, and that's not what you want for your baits.
So here we go. You get the Elastec tail, so you're much more likely to keep this going. In fact, how many fish have you caught on one of these?
Well over 100. You can kind of document
Wow.
my little journey earlier this spring where I was absolutely stacking up some smallmouth and largemouth. And I blew it out a couple times, was able to reset it. And they do make a, they call it the Gobies, so G-O-B-Y-Z, where they do not have the harness inside of it, the weight inside of it, and you can use your own hook or your own Swimbait hook or whatever you want.
Those are great.
And they work really good. Overall, when you look at these three, when I look at the Dark Sleeper, I want the same profile in a stretchy plastic that is going to last me a lot longer. I'm going that route all day. Same thing with the Structure Gill. I'm just going that route all day. I'm not a fan of the Dark Sleeper, mostly because of the price point. So all day, I'm going to recommend you go with the Z-Man version.
So there's our Structure Gill. We got our Dark Sleeper. There's the Z-Man Gobius. Look at all three of those suckers together. Yeah, I'm same with Paul here. I'm going, it's all bottom contact anyways. Like, I'm going Elastec on this. It's not like this ½ ounce is going to float because it's Elastec.
No, not at all.
Elastec. It swims pretty dang good, and it's not going to fall apart like a Dark Sleeper. So,
Yeah.
Dark Sleeper lovers, you're going to hate me.
That's okay.
Sorry.
And look, this is going to be a caveat that we've said a few times. It's going to cover every single one of these baits. If you enjoy paying up in price and you don't mind paying a premium for a little better action, a little different action, quality hooks, whatever it happens to be, right? For whatever reason, if you just like spending more money on your fishing gear because it's something you enjoy doing, I highly recommend you go do that. That's not a problem for me at all. But this is really more video for people who are like looking at two different options, one that's very expensive, one that's cheap, and thinking, am I going to have a problem if I don't buy the nice one? Or if I have the cheap one, do I need to go buy the expensive one? We're trying to help you parse out that comparison. So that's all this video is. If you're Mr. Cheap Guy, you're my kind of guy. I go cheap almost every single time, right? So
Whenever possible.
yeah, I respect that.
All right, y'all, that's all we got for this video. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Maybe you were looking at the comparison, trying to decide if you could save some money or if you needed to spend up, and maybe you came away with an answer after this video. If not, we will be sure to take this one step further. We're gonna take these out on the water, we're gonna fish them and directly compare them. Probably consolidate, maybe do like just swim baits only and then like other categories of lures. And again, as I've said a couple times in this video, drop a comment below. Let us know anything else you wanna see us compare, what we missed, if we are dumb, if we are smart, we don't care. Just drop a comment below. That's called engagement. Thanks, folks. Smash that like, all those other things. I am late. Let's leave. All right. Bye.